Hi guys, James from Batrium here. Today in the test lab I'll be going over how to run a bypass test on your cellmate K9. So you might want to do this if you're setting up a new system with your K9 for the first time, or if you've done some wiring changes and you need to make sure that when it comes time to balance, your system will do that properly. So to start with, you'll need your cells of your battery hooked up to your K9. If your K9 is running a fan, it's best to take that off because the K9 heatsink is really efficient, and if you have a fan on it, you'll have no chance of getting the temperature rises that happen during a bypass that confirm that it's run properly. And you'll need your K9 hooked up to a Watchmon in technician mode, so just quickly pop that into technician mode now. Head into the hardware tab on the software and just hit edit and save. This won't make any changes, but it gives us a chance to get the pin code, which is on the back, 90281. Put that in and we won't have to edit it later. You'll see a little success message down here when that happens. We've also got a T-towel here, so this is to put over the top of the K9 while we're balancing to make sure that the heat is blanketed inside and won't be wicked away by that efficient heatsink. Alrighty, so we'll head into the Cellmon tab now and we'll click bypass test. So I'll run you through the options that you have. The most important one is which cells do you want to test. So we've got 8 cells in series here hooked up to this K9, so it's defaulted to 1 through 8. But in general, you'll want to do a few at a time instead. That way, you give the heatsink a chance to cool down in between tests. So we'll change that to 1 to 3. Alrighty, so as far as the other options go, bypass increment, this means we're waiting for a degree rise of 2 degrees per cell in this test, or per channel on the K9. The start minimum says if it's too cold, I'm not going to start the test or finish the test. If you live in a colder climate where you actually might see something below 10 degrees, you can change that by hitting advance, but we won't. And the maximum finish is 60 degrees. Basically, if it gets above this, it'll end the test. Generally, you shouldn't be heating up your K9 past this to get the most life out of it. Alrighty, so cell threshold limits. It won't over discharge the cells by bypassing below 2.8 volts, and it won't start the test if they're too high and something might be wrong. And same here, bypass current limit. If you're running block mods, you'll have control over this, but the K9 is a simple on-off balancing, so we can leave that one be. It doesn't apply here. And the time limit is 300 seconds, which is 5 minutes. That's how long each cell is allowed to balance for in order to see that 2 degree rise. Alrighty, so we'll set the most important one, which is which cells we want to bypass, and now we can hit start. So over here on our K9, we should be able to see a bypass LED go on. Yep, there it goes. We'll put our towel over the top to make sure it gets nice and toasty. And we can see that we started at 20 degrees and the current temperature is 20 degrees, so the difference is 0, and we want to see a difference of 2. So we'll leave that going. One thing to note is that the cells on the edge of the heatsink generally heat up a lot quicker than the ones in the middle. This one looks like we're at the 40-second mark, but the others might take quite a bit longer, the ones in the middle, so just keep that in mind. Alrighty, so we've hit 21, and once that hits 22, we'll see it accumulate over here in the results. It's a bit of a cold day here, so it's taking us a while. Alright, that's hit 22, so that's accumulated as a pass, and the new starting temperature is 22, so we'll expect to get up to 24. And same thing with cell 3. Another thing to note is that you've got to keep your hand away from, or any source of heat away from the K9 while this is happening, and if you've got a lot of wind, try and block that off as well. Okay, those all passed. We've got a summary of the results here. We'll see 3 passes. If any of these don't pass, what you should do is wait for the heatsink to cool down and then test that specific cell. Generally, since we test everything coming out of the factory here, you probably won't find any actual hardware failures. You might just need to run this test again on that specific cell. And you can also find the results of this by hitting the open folder button, just in case you need to email it to us or something like that. That gets recorded in a little test report test file as well. Alrighty, so that's everything you need to do to run a bypass test on a K9, and hope your systems serve you well. See ya.